Arsenal and Liverpool, all-time Premier League 11. Two legendary clubs that have won dozens of trophies throughout the history. Do you want to start it off with a goalkeeper?
I think it's probably one of the easier positions, goalkeeper for me. I don't know if you've got the same, but I've gone Alisson.
Yeah, I've got Alisson as well. By the way, this is just in the Premier League era.
Yeah, so
we're not
92.
Yeah, we're not going before that because obviously we probably have zero ball knowledge on that.
Yeah, of course,
as if we have much ball knowledge anyway.
Well, there's none anyway, but it'd just be a massive list, wouldn't it, to be fair? So it narrows it down a little bit more, makes it a little bit easier for us.
But Alisson, top pick. Obviously, been starting for Brazil pretty much the whole time as well since he joined Liverpool.
Which says a lot because obviously they've got Edison as well. He's probably the best ball-playing goalkeeper that there actually is. So he gets in there in front of him, I think, the vast majority of the time.
They've had some big keepers over the years. Right, left back. I think most of this is pretty easy, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing if we differ on any.
Left back's obviously easy. It's Ashley Cole.
Yep. Easy dubs. Right.
Let me just say, I think he's the best left back that the Premier League's actually had, to be honest.
Ever in history.
Premier League, yeah, I'd say.
I will give an honourable mention to Robertson, though.
Really? Yeah, but to be fair, yeah. But I think Ashley Cole's just the best left back the Premier League's produced.
Ashley Cole is, especially because he did it at multiple clubs, but Robertson has been unbelievable for Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been a pivotal part to the success over the years, hasn't he? So
we've got two centre-backs, bro.
Two centre-backs. So one off the bat, the most recent one, Virgil van Dijk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why Van Dijk?
Well,
not been dribbled past?
No, it's not even that. Obviously, I know it's not just his, but his record at Anfield, it speaks for itself. He's obviously been a pivotal part of Liverpool winning the league for the first time in 30 years, getting to 3 Champions League finals, which ultimately we know they only won 1, but getting to 3 is pretty mental. And he's just been that solidifying factor when they brought him in from Southampton.
Well, there was a bit of a debate at one point whether he is the best Premier League centre-back of all time. I mean, I've heard that mentioned.
It's definitely been thrown about, and he's got to be in the equation. Don't get me wrong, whether or not he is, I don't know.
I think the fact that you can even speak about him in that manner, though, and you can actually consider whether he is the best centre-back of all time means that he's got to be in this combined 11. But who's he starting next to?
I think Campbell.
Yeah, I had Campbell.
It's going to be very similar. I think when you get further down the pitch, it might differ slightly, but I think that realistically, I think most of it's going to be the same, even in its entirety.
Campbell's unbelievable. Not had many opportunities in management, as you may have heard him complain about a few times.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's just a bit of a weird shout. I just think it goes back to talks about like the English women team not being diverse enough, and I just think you've got to be good enough. Like, it doesn't matter. You're not just fucking filling spaces here. You've got to be the best.
He's actually got to have proven himself as a good manager, and he hasn't.
That's the point. Honourable mention to Keown.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Who was good.
Do you remember some of those old Liverpool centre-backs? Obviously, Liverpool in recent years have really come on a lot, but I remember when I was really starting to watch the Premier League, they had Skirtle at centre-back who was pretty solid.
Yeah.
He wasn't an unbelievable footballer, but he was actually okay for them most of the time.
Solid, did the job. They had centre-halves and not Carragher, but he was like a bit of a leader in a Liverpool team that were pushing for trophies. But obviously, with the two that we've picked, the ones that we mentioned, and just don't get a sniff at it.
There's one Arsenal legendary centre-back we haven't mentioned who was the worst player to pack on FIFA, and that's Mertesacker.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember Mertesacker with the 32 pace?
I know, and that's kind of when the game just relied on pace. You got Mertesacker in there, like someone like Ibarbo going up next to him.
Weirdly enough, though, in real life, Mertesacker was actually quite good.
I know, it's weird. I just think, especially FIFA back then, they just seen a big centre-half stock it, and they're like, yeah, let's just give him 20 pace.
Wild,
even though realistically, they actually are quite quick. I mean, Van Dijk, probably, I know his pace is quite good, but maybe even back then they might have given him something like 75. And in reality, he's keeping up with a lot of these speedy wingers.
Who have you got at right back?
Right back, I'm going to double check. I went for Lee Dixon.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised by that one.
Oh, yeah. Big legend, Lee Dixon, mate.
No, I mean, he's good. He's a good footballer, but I went for Trent.
Oh, shit, Trent. But the thing is, the modern game, brilliant, fantastic. You want your fullback to be attacking, and that's just the way that the game's gone. You've got to be able to do that as well. But I think fundamentally, you've got to actually be a brilliant defensive player as well, and he just isn't really that good defensively. I look at this.
Yeah, he has been in periods though.
Yeah, I guess, but I just feel like he gets exposed against the better wingers, like against teams that Liverpool should be beating on paper. He's brilliant to have there because he's not going to be under the cosh quite like the vast majority of the time. Whereas when you play the bigger teams and you're playing against the better wingers, then you see him get exposed.
Do you know, you've made a good point there, to be honest. And I suppose when you take into account the attackers we're going to have in this team, do you really need him to be attacking?
There you go. But look at Liverpool as well. It doesn't hurt, does it, to have a extra attack-minded player? But I just feel like fundamentally, as I said, right backs, he should be able to defend really well.
Maybe it's a bit of recency bias from me. I'm happy with Dixon being in there. We've got a I'm always going for a midfield trio in this scenario.
Yeah, same.
So do you want me? I'll boot it off with someone who I think has just quite simply got to be in there.
I know who you're going to say.
Patrick Vieira.
Yeah, of course. The big man himself.
Bro.
6'4". God did not shorten him in any department. He was a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we don't remember watching him, but everybody looks back on football, and you just know, and from what you've seen of him, just absolutely bossed the game.
Yeah, I've seen a fair amount of him playing, and I know that he's one of those players. It reminds me a bit like, I think the modern equivalent would have been Yaya Toure.
Yeah, well,
just as in like someone who's large, got a massive physical presence, is still fantastic on the ball, can ping a pass. Because sometimes you see some of those bigger players that play in midfield, like maybe Matic, Fellaini type.
A bit slower with the ball.
Yeah, they're not quite as agile, but those boys, especially Vieira, still had that element to his game.
And that's what made him the player that he was, I guess, because he had the physical side and he had that side as well. So,
who else have you got in midfield?
I think obviously Gerrard. He's got to be up the shouts, one of the best centre mids the Premier League's ever had, really. Goal scorer, brilliant passer with the ball as well. He's got to be in the team every day of the week.
1,000,000%. I don't really have much more to add. Maybe if Gerrard could have transferred that unbelievable ability to management, he might be doing better than...
And none of the English boys have done well in that sense, have they?
No, true. It's worrying when the best has probably been Lampard.
Yeah.
And he, our feelings on him, all leads out with. Yeah. But... yeah, Gerrard's management has gone down the toilet. But who have you got as an... I'm classing them two as the more holding midfielders or box-to-boxers. Who have you got as like an attacking midfielder?
I don't really know if he was attacking in that sense, because I feel like he was similar, like just pass with the ball. But because I didn't put CAM in this, I just put 3 CMs.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to get him in there. I don't even know if his time at Liverpool is his best time, but we're just talking about managers then. And he's gone on to do great work at Leverkusen, and I've got Xabi Alonso in there.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to throw something different in there.
That is a bit different. Why Xabi Alonso?
He's got to be one of the most technically gifted central midfielders as well.
I didn't even consider him.
Did you not even consider? No. But to be fair, with what you've done, I think you've gone for like more of an attack-minded one, whereas I just put kind of like 3 centrals, to be honest.
No, that makes sense. And my attack-minded one, and this is a rogue shout. I feel like a lot of people might have an issue with this one, but it's Ozil.
Yeah, to be fair, all time, big shout, but
he didn't win much at Arsenal. I think he won a couple of FA Cups, but coming from an unbelievable Real Madrid team, and he had so many assists and goals at Arsenal, and he was so gifted on the ball.
Yeah, if you're going off talent,
in an Arsenal squad that wasn't very good back then. Compared to now.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the greatest. Well, it was not one of the finer teams, is it?
No, but I think as an individual player, he was brilliant, and he was brilliant throughout his whole time there, up to like the last season where it really fell apart and he wasn't getting played or anything. But he was quality.
Based off talent, yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone. Obviously, Xabi Alonso. Is there anyone else I'd maybe? I can't think of any other unbelievable Arsenal attacking midfielders.
Oh well, with Liverpool, you could look. I don't know if Coutinho was more of a winger or if he played.
Yeah. I mean, Coutinho could be in there, couldn't he? But he dropped off massively afterwards, so it makes me think.
I know, but obviously at Liverpool he was good. But then we're not just going off that because I've said Xabi Alonso and that his best probably wasn't just at Liverpool.
Well,
I don't hate that.
Well, if who are we going to go for then? We got Xabi Alonso or Ozil in
I think I'd go for the attack. Let you go for your attacking one. To be fair, it makes a bit more sense than just having the 3.
I respect that. And then this is the part where I think it might get a little bit tricky. It's going for a front 3.
Yeah, I don't think it's that difficult on the left and right.
No, it's not. Is
You've got obviously,
In fact, I think we're just going to have exactly the same front 3 now.
Thierry Henry, obviously on the left, one of the all-time greats in the Premier League.
I think he's probably the best attacker the Premier League's ever seen. Maybe in a couple of years you might be able to make the argument for Haaland, but obviously he's not a winger anyway.
Or even the one that we've got on the right. So
the Egyptian king.
Yeah, Mo Salah.
If you're thinking about an all-time Liverpool and Arsenal combined 11, and you're not having Salah and Henry in there, you've got something wrong with you.
Smoking something. It's got to be on either side. I mean, it goes nobody's going to argue against that, surely.
Do you not think it's weird how we look back at Henry now and think, oh, what a guy, like one of the best players of all time. He had such an impact on the game, not just at Arsenal, but around the world as well. In another 10, 15 years, people are going to look at Salah in that mind.
I'd say so, and especially see where this season goes as well. They've still got a lot that they could win. They could essentially do the quad, but we'll get onto that. But I don't see why not, to be fair.
I just think it's interesting because he was the main man that has... Obviously, Klopp is the mastermind behind it all, but Salah is the player that's brought Liverpool kind of out of the dark ages, if that makes sense. When you look at like what Man United are going through now, or what a lot of other Arsenal went through for a number of years, where it was just a complete drop-off. Liverpool went through that after that Champions League win and didn't really win or do much in between like 2008 to 2018.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. If you look at Klopp, when he initially took over Liverpool, if you look at that starting 11, players like Mignolet and fucking... I don't even know, the list does go on, I know that's just a keeper, but he's had to build up, and he's been one of the main benefiting factors. Like, obviously, you got players like Van Dijk that we've mentioned, but then Salah is another one, Alisson, and they've come in and they've made this Liverpool team a threat.
But I feel like it's made Liverpool one of the most popular teams in the world again.
Yeah.
They didn't ever drop off in terms of in the UK, there was always a lot of fans. But I think when you've got Salah, Van Dijk, Alisson, Mane for a while, Firmino, they've become like a worldwide marketable...
Globally recognised, these players, household names, they've become, because... You don't get to 3 Champions League finals across like the span of 4 or 5 years and not get recognised globally, because everybody follows the Champions League. I mean, I know everybody follows the Premier League as well, but that gets them that kind of recognition.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they didn't have that before.
No, of course they did.
This has just excelled it again. Like, they had it in periods throughout history, and then obviously it kind of dropped off for a little bit, and then they've...
But then you've got to be competing as well. Like, you look at Man United, they're not competing, they're still globally recognised, but they say they reform now and start challenging and getting to Champions League finals, and it just kind of reignites a dying flame. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Kinda.
So we've got one position left, and it's the striker. Who have you got?
I've got Dennis, me.
Bergkamp?
Dennis the Menace, yeah.
What the hell?
Did you think that's weird?
I mean, he's actually... I've got like a little bench of honourable mentions.
Yeah.
He's on there, but he isn't my starting striker. And I think when I say this name, you might have to reconsider.
Yeah, I probably will. Because I don't know, I just threw him in there just because all of his highlight reel, man. I just thought it was such a brilliant player to watch as well.
He was so technically gifted, and we've said it on the pod before, but some of his goals, the way that he took them, were just unbelievable. Yeah. Like, if you were going to show someone like a footballer to try persuade him to like football, Bergkamp would be one of those names.
Yeah, it's like the Mount Rushmore thing that we kind of did the other week, yeah.
Exactly that. But I've got Luis Suarez.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like, I feel like...
Yeah, of course. I mean... Yeah, I've got me because Bergkamp wasn't just Arsenal as well, was he? So that you've got to really his goals. I mean, I put Suarez in, and I think in the Premier League, because I did a segment later about January and stuff like that. I think Suarez got like 90 goal contributions in 110 games in the league, which is ridiculous, a ridiculous return.
I think his time at Liverpool, he nearly made them win the Premier League, practically alone. Gerrard was on his last legs. I know they had Sturridge doing quite well. And was Sterling there at that point?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so they had a good attack, but Suarez was the fucking man. And he's gone on to become...
I have nightmares about him.
Yeah, he's gone on to become one of the most iconic footballers of all time.
Yeah, for good reasons and bad reasons.
Well, yeah, he's done some questionable things in his time.
Yeah.
But I think personally it's got to be Suarez, but Bergkamp is mad.
I'd take Suarez. I'm happy with that.
And I also want to shout out, there's a few strikers or maybe attackers that could get in this lineup that we've not even mentioned in this little debate so far. Fernando Torres.
Yeah, Torres.
Because we say Suarez, but Torres did it for a longer period of time and was consistently bagging, like, I think 15, 20 plus goals a season at Liverpool, won the Champions, scored that winning goal for Chelsea in the Champions League.
Yeah.
I know that's not at Liverpool for this combined 11, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. When I was young and I was getting into football, Torres was the only reason people supported Liverpool.
He was the man, wasn't he? You always remember that like kind of grey Liverpool kit with red stripes and the Carlsberg sponsor and turning the Mandy Vidic inside out at Old Trafford when they won 4-1.
This is what I'm saying. He was absolute quality and we've not even mentioned him.
Yeah, I know. Well, he deserves a mention and that's why I'm glad that you've kind of done that.
One more player I want to mention in the attacking role.
Go on.
And that is a man when he was young. He was nominated for a Ballon d'Or. He had a couple of unbelievable seasons. Did he win the Ballon d'Or?
If you can say Michael Owen, yeah, then he did in 2001, I think he won it.
So he won the fucking Ballon d'Or.
So he's got to be in the shouts, hasn't he?
Did he win it?
He won the Ballon d'Or. He's the last Englishman to win the Ballon d'Or, and I'm pretty sure it was 2001.
You see, this is where I'm going to get the zero ball knowledge comments. I was going down the right path, but I just wasn't quite there. So we've got a man then who scored I think it's like 80 plus goals for Liverpool in 100 something appearances between the ages of like 18 and 21.
That is bursting onto the scene.
Won the Ballon d'Or and then got a big move to Real Madrid, and we're not even mentioning him in this ilk. He won the Ballon d'Or, bro. How were we putting Suarez and Bergkamp and stuff ahead of him?
Great. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. And for this conversation as well, it's not just about what they did necessarily with the team. It's an individual thing as well, because we're selecting from 2 different squads. So a Ballon d'Or winner, it's pretty mental that didn't really cross my mind.